Now once again on the arm, I'm going to follow the inside of the arm to put my low light. Simply following it straight up in a nice consistent pattern, following all the previously made dark areas made by the natural light. We're now ready to apply eyeshadow first, but not too much. We don't want to accentuate it too much. We want it to be a nice, soft, delicate pattern. Now I'll simply go through and just touch particular areas, highlighting particularly the edges of the petals. They give a little bit of highlight when the camera takes the picture. The flash will definitely reflect off of the shimmer. I just want to go through and highlight all the stenciled areas so that the whole piece of fashion that we've just created has a whole shimmer to it, so when taken, the work of art is breathtaking. That sounds so fucking... Basically what we're going to do is go through and manually detail the outsides just here and there. The outsides of the rose petals, the leaves, and basically all we want to do is just bring a little bit more depth to the artwork itself. Now when working with highlights, it's important that you don't put too many highlights in. You don't want to wash either. Overkill can be just as bad as underkill. Stencils. Now when removing the stencils, it's very important to remove very slowly. You don't want to take your model's skin with it. This is the adhesive that is quite tacky. Now when removing the stencils, you want to pull straight forward. Concentration of hair. Sometimes you can dust your adhesive with a little bit of talcum powder just to cut back on the tackiness a little bit. Another very important thing to remember is make sure the paint on the stencils is dry. Because what can happen is you could be removing the stencil and you could actually have a smudge over your We're now ready for the fun part, the cleanup. Now, no matter what you do, you're always going to have overspray. So I just simply will blot a little cotton ball with a little water and go in and just clean them up. Now my plastic model here, she's not quite as easy as a human being is to clean up. Now when cleaning up perimeters, I like to have a little bit more accuracy, so I use like a cotton swab or an eyeshadow applicator. Just going through and carefully removing any excess paints and try to keep the lines as straight as possible. Use genuine lace, which you can buy at most craft stores. Pretty much anything you can see through, you can spray through. Doilies are wonderful ways of making stenciling for lace. In this case, we're using an actual piece of lace, and what you simply do is go through and lightly spray in the center and just You just want to go through and repeat the process all the way around all the perimeters, slightly overlapping each, roughly about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. Every so often it's important to dry off your lace, because you can end up having just a big smear across your piece of work. When spraying the lace, you also want to try not to paint the painted areas. Any area that was previously painted, you want to try to avoid spraying into those sections. It's also important to follow the natural contour of your design. Pencil of all, ribboning. And it's so lightweight, and it rarely sticks to your piece of work. Now I'm just going to simply go in here and follow the perimeter line of the interior of the stocking, allowing a little bit of overspray to send up depth. Use a medium to light gray, very watered down, so when it dries it almost has a transparent look to it. When first applied it has a bright look, but once dry you virtually don't even know it's there. We're now ready for troubleshooting. Now, one of the first things that you should remember is always perform a patch test on your model at least 24 hours prior to a body painting, because the last thing you want to do is 3 hours of work and have to remove the paint because of a reaction. What the camera will see. The camera will see anything that is overly accentuated. If you don't accentuate all the details of your body art, nothing will show up on film. Watch the liquid intake. The last thing you want to do is have your model running to the bathroom every 5 minutes, and constantly bending and moving will destroy your body art. Know the pose. Only paint the areas that the camera is going to see. If you know they're definitely taking a shot of the front, only paint the front. Why waste your and your team's time painting unnecessary areas? Eyeshadow touch-ups. When your model bends her knees and elbows too much, you'll notice there's cracking will start occurring. You go in there with the equal shade color and lightly touch up with just a little bit of eyeshadow, and you'll never see it. Cosmetics only. Now on faces and necks, I strictly use cosmetics intended for those areas only. I will not use body paints on those areas, they're too sensitive. Watch the pressure when applying stencils to your model. The last thing you want to do is get 3/4 of your work done and then have your stencil stick to the art and actually pull your art off the body. Watch your air pressure. Your air pressure should be kept between 15 and 25 pounds. That's it. Anything more than that is going to create obscene amounts of overspray, and your cleanup time will be anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. Moisturizers. Tell your model before the shoot not to apply any greasy or oily moisturizers prior to a shoot. Otherwise, the body art will not stick and you'll have constant problems with the paint peeling. Pre-cut your stencils. Why waste everyone's time not being prepared for a shoot? Know what you're going to do, have a plan, and execute it. Ventilation and comfort. Ventilation is very important because overspray can be quite rough on the lungs. And comfort is very important because your model could be laying around from anywhere from an hour to 4 hours. Make sure they're comfortable. When stenciling over excessive amounts of hair, a sharp, crisp, detailed stencil will appear as an ink blotch over excessive amounts of hair, so keep the hair to a minimum. Watch the movement. The less your model moves, the longer the body art will last. It only has to last long enough for the photograph. There's nothing more heartbreaking than a destroyed piece of work because of a little bit of over movement. Privacy, please. The private parts to me are just that, private. I don't think they should be painted, and I don't recommend anyone do so. Moisturizer. If your model is going to wear a moisturizer, make sure it is very thin and very light and you can barely feel it on your fingers when it's dry. Don't pucker up. Too much paint will actually pucker or wrinkle while it's on the body. It's important to use thin, consistent coats. It's not necessary to put on heavy coats. Save some backup. Always keep some extra paint available of the original colors used, just in case something happens where the model brushes or bumps up against something where you need to do a major touch-up, where eyeshadow won't do. Be an explorer. Go to hobby shops, craft stores, anywhere you think you might find potential stencils. It could be material stores, it could be lace, it could be anything. Be creative. Take a Polaroid. Get to know the progress of your work while you're on the shoot. Get to know if you need to accentuate highlights, lowlights, anything you need to change. You take a Polaroid, you could change them immediately. Sometimes size does matter. Bust sizes in women, I particularly care for working with a smaller bust size, just simply because of the fact that I can go in and hand create the illusion that they are larger busted. Standing or laying down. Your model should be posed in the photograph the same way she was painted. Otherwise, especially when painting images of people, when they stand up, the model's image on the body will appear like Quasimodo. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning how to body paint the human canvas, Part 1. Look for the release of our Advanced and Master course coming up this fall in 2001. Until then, good luck.